The answer to this question, a lot of people will think is obvious, and that's because, for the most part, it is obvious. Um, I will get to hopefully see my Egypt team in the World Cup for the first time. Um, but it'll be bittersweet because my United States team did not qualify for the World Cup, which is kind of funny because I expected one of them to be in the World Cup, just not the one that actually made it. Um, so the Egypt makes the World Cup for the first time in my lifetime, and then 2 days later, the United States fails to make the World Cup for the first time in my lifetime. So it's like a bittersweet trade-off kind of thing. And there you have it. So, by far and away, the team I'll be supporting next summer in Russia is my father's country. It's Egypt. And I should go on record as saying this. It's going to sink in again, and I'm going to feel ecstatic as we get closer and closer to Russia. And I may get emotional when, as we get closer to the World Cup, as well as when Egypt actually plays. I'm going to be a nervous wreck. But the question is, what teams will I be supporting in the World Cup? And while the first answer by far and away is Egypt, I'm also the kind of person who likes to see other teams do well. Not necessarily support, because there's a difference between supporting a team and wanting another team to do well. It sounds the same, but it's not. Trust me, it's very different. Only one team has my support, and it is Egypt. But I'm also not the kind of fan to ride with one team and screw all the other 31 nations. No. There are a few other sides I would like to see do well. Keywords do well. And they are as follows. Since the United States is not in it, I've been thinking I'd like to see Australia do well in the World Cup because Australia, I like their fan base. They're almost as entertaining as Irish fans. I love the crowd atmospheres that Australians bring with them to World Cups. I love like the inflatable kangaroo things that they bring. I love the green and gold colors. That's very aesthetically pleasing. I also like that Australia. I like Australia's team because Australia is a very rugged, kind of hard-working collective. They sort of remind me a little bit of the U.S. back in the Jurgen Klinsmann era of 2013, where Australia doesn't really have very many stars, but their sum is better than their parts. And they've built a reputation over the years as being a team who, while you don't necessarily fear, you're weary of them. You don't really, you kind of don't want to play them. Because I know they're in pot 4 for the World Cup, but I wouldn't want to get them. And I was impressed by their performance in the Confederations Cup earlier this summer, where they lost only one game. They drew the other 2 games. They came one goal away from sneaking into the semifinals, which was a pre-tournament prediction of mine as my surprise in the Confederations Cup. No regrets whatsoever. It actually came pretty close to being true. So Australia, it has so much on that untapped potential, in my opinion. And I look at all the Asian teams, which ones I think would have a better shot at getting results against some of the better European sides. I'm going to pick Australia. I know they didn't do too well in the last World Cup, but I also think a large part of that was that they were generally unlucky. They were in a super group with Spain, Chile, and the Netherlands, two of which, Chile and Netherlands, are not going to be present at the World Cup next year. But going back to 2010, they were also in a very difficult group with Germany, Ghana, and Serbia, and they almost navigated it. They finished in third and were eliminated on goal difference. So Australia, they're not an easy nut to crack, and they cause a lot of problems for some better teams. They're sort of there. They're, like I said, they're not the team that your heart skips a beat when you find out they're in your group, but they're there. Their presence is known, and they're not a side that many countries look forward to playing, if that makes any sense. And also, because the United States is not there, I gotta support an Anglo-speaking, an English-speaking nation that is not England. Like, nothing against England, but because of the whole, the fun little banter rivalry thing going on with our friends across the pond, I would usually cheer for like an Ireland or whatever in a World Cup. But since Ireland didn't make it, and because of the fact that Australia is sort of considered like a very loose, they're a very loose cousin to the United States. That's another reason. So Australia is sort of like my replacement team. I know that sounds really sad, but they're sort of my replacement team for the U.S. So I'd like to see Australia do well. And a couple of other teams I would like to see do well. Again, not support, because only one team gets my full-on fledged emotional support. And that's the team that is the inspiration behind the title of my YouTube channel. So, but other teams I would like to see do well, I'd like to say Morocco and Tunisia. Yeah, Morocco and Tunisia. This is the first time Africa's sending 3 North African sides to the World Cup. Sort of that bias in me, that North African kind of brotherly love type of thing. So I'd like to see Morocco and Tunisia also do well in the World Cup. And who doesn't want Iceland to do well? I mean, you kind of have to have an evil heart to not want Iceland. They're like the most popular pick of all the neutrals. What they've done in the last few years is incredible. You people familiar with my channel, you know that I've been lavishing praise onto Iceland for a little while now. So, Iceland does well. Good for them. That's about all. All those teams I just mentioned, but only Egypt gets my full support. Like to see Australia do well. Like to see my North African blood do well with Morocco and Tunisia. And, yeah, the cliche neutrals pick, Iceland as well. So leave a comment below, like, subscribe. Who are you supporting in the World Cup? Did your country make it? And if not, who are you pulling for? That should be it for today. God willing, I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, have a good night. Much love and peace out.